channel. I am so glad you're here. Today we are going to talk about the Montessori Method and how we implement the Montessori Method in our home. So the Montessori Method is a child-focused approach to education, and it was founded in the early 1900s by Italy's first female physician. Her name was Maria Montessori. The Montessori Method is an approach that is based on self-directed activity, hands-on learning, and collaborative play to learn about the world around them. Maria Montessori really emphasized the need for freedom and independence. She said that children have absorbent minds, and through careful preparation of the environment around them, the child is able to have spontaneous discoveries that ultimately lead to a lifelong love of learning. But the Montessori Method can be used all the way up through a high school education. Since this is a type of education, typically education is geared toward children in the standard grades, kindergarten through 12th grade. But with the Montessori Method, you can really start to implement these things really early on to help give your child a great foundation. This method really focuses on 5 different areas. The first one is practical life, doing things that the child will be doing for the rest of their life, like getting dressed, toileting themselves, cleaning themselves up, helping with food preparation and cleanup, things of that nature that are going to be setting the child up for things that they're going to have to do in their everyday life as they grow. Number 2 is sensorial development. This is a development of the senses: sight, touch, taste, sound. This can be done with wooden building blocks, for example, by teaching the child different sizes, helping them understand volume and shapes, which then later on will help them with math. Another example of this would be color matching, so identifying colors, putting things of the same color together in groupings, which both of these will, like I said, later go on to help them when they enter standardized grades. Number 3 is mathematics. An example of this would be tracing boards to help the child learn the shape of numbers and letters. Another one would be puzzles for spatial reasoning and problem solving. The 4th one is language arts. So this is really words beyond books. It's really important in a Montessori environment to have literacy and different books of everything for the child to read and be read to. Reading aloud to a child is also very important and is very beneficial. When you're doing this, you can chat with your child about more than just the words in the book. You can chat about the photos and what the child sees in the photos. You could talk about different hypotheses or experiences if the child has felt or seen or experienced something similar to what is being talked about in the book. And the last one is culture and science. So for example, if you have birds in your yard and they make a nest and then they lay eggs, really showing that child the process. So the nest was built, and then the bird laid eggs, and then the birds hatched, and then the birds fly away. So teaching them the life cycle, teaching them how things grow and how things work, that's really cool, and it's something that they can understand. Something else with nature and science is really focusing on natural materials, woods, metals, fabrics, and silks, and staying away from artificial textures and textiles. Incorporating nature days where they can touch, feel, explore outside with the different seasons. And lastly, culture. Really teaching the child about different cultures in different parts of the world. So when the holidays come around, talking about how different people do things differently and how they celebrate differently. Letting them taste different foods or read stories about how things are different from what they are being taught in their home is really important. So those are kind of the 5 pillars that Montessori kind of bases everything on. So let's talk about how we implement these things into our home. So with the Montessori Method, a prepared environment is key. So creating spaces that are easily accessible and safe for your child to explore. So for me, number 1 is a clean and tidy environment. And this has so many benefits, but one of the main ones is that it helps to minimize overwhelm for both the caregiver and the child. When the environment is clean and tidy and organized, it shows the child that we care for the things that we have, and really shows that each item in our home has a place, which makes cleanup really easy. The second would be to baby-proof your home so that your child can explore freely and safely. This would include things like outlet covers and baby gates where necessary. Also using cabinet locks to prevent your child from getting into anything that could be harmful. We don't have a lot of toxic chemicals or cleaning supplies in our house, but there are some spaces that just aren't safe for him to explore. So we don't have cabinet locks on our whole kitchen, but we do have cabinet locks on a few select cabinets that house some things that might not be safe for him to explore. The pots and pans, the Tupperware, that is fully accessible to him to explore at any time, and he does take advantage of that. Something else that's really important, we actually remove the oven knobs from the oven and just keep them right on top of the stove, so they're still easily accessible for us, but because we have a gas stove, there's not going to be any accidents with him touching, playing, and accidentally turning one on. We also do have a lock on our oven, which prevents him from being able to open the oven or tip the stove on top of him. So the first one, a clean, tidy, prepared environment, and the second one is baby proofing. The third one is emphasizing life skills. So if you remember, this is one of the 5 pillars. So we have different cups and spoons and scoops and measuring spoons and bowls, pitchers, any of these things that allows the child to be practicing things that they'll be doing as they get older, for them to be able to help in the kitchen and just have fun. You can include your child on preparing different food and snacks in the kitchen. Something we do is have a snack basket that is accessible to him, which is really convenient because it allows him to be independent and decide when it is that he's hungry. So I keep this on a low shelf in the kitchen and fill it every single night when he goes to bed, so that he has access to these snacks throughout the day, and I don't have to worry about saying no, because if it's in the basket, it's something that I'm okay with him having, and he can choose when he has that. Something else that he loves to do to practice practical life skills is water the plants. We have some living plants in our home, and he's such a big helper. He loves to water the plants and would probably water them all day if you let him. He also really enjoys helping with laundry, so we will take the laundry downstairs to the laundry room, and he will help us put it from the basket into the washer. He will help us put it from the washer to the dryer. He loves shutting the doors, and we have HE appliances, so he loves pushing buttons and having the music play. After mealtime, he wipes his hands, face, and his tray. Now, these things aren't going to be perfect, and you may likely have to go in to tidy up after him or to clean up some things that he missed after dinner time, but the goal here is really getting him involved in being able to do these things on his own. So the fourth thing that we do to implement Montessori in our home is we keep things really accessible to help foster independence. This looks like a learning tower in our kitchen. A learning tower is a wooden structure that the child can easily move from one location to another. It allows them to safely get up to a height where they can be a part of what's going on without you having to hold them. It frees up both of your hands because you can still be working in the kitchen, and your child can be standing next to you safely on their learning tower and be participating in the food prep or whatever is going on in the kitchen. We also have a stool in the bathroom, which allows him to get up to the sink to brush his teeth and wash his hands. We have child-sized furniture. Now, this isn't throughout our whole home, but his bed in his bedroom, which the bedroom is a really important place to keep child-friendly because this is their space, and you want their space to be the most accessible to them. So we have light switch extenders, which you can buy on Amazon. I'll link the one that we have below. He does have a floor bed, so it's really low to the ground. He can get in and out of his bed by himself. The doors in his room he's able to open without any assistance, so it gives him access to his closet and his toys, and keeping some clothes available to him where he can make the decision of what he wants to wear that day. So really focusing on keeping the bedroom an area that is fully accessible to them. And then we do have some other child furniture in our home. We do have a child-sized IKEA chair in the playroom, which he sits down and reads in. He can get in and out himself. We have a small table and chairs as well in the playroom where he can have snacks or play independently. Again, he can get into and out of these areas by himself without assistance, which is great because it just builds that independence and that confidence that you want your child to have. Something else we do to keep things accessible is we keep things at his eye level. So the playroom specifically, bookshelves in his playroom are really low, so he can access those books at any time. The decor also is at eye level for him. All of his toys are at a level where he can reach them without assistance. We love using the cubes from Target. They're just a great size and they house a good amount of stuff. The fifth thing that we do in our home is we which kind of goes with number 4 with keeping things accessible, but we keep all of our toys on low open shelves. And the reason for this is, aside from supporting independence where he can access these things, it also creates a sense of pride. When the toys are on display, it shows that they are special and that it's something that we take care of versus things that are just thrown into a bin. So we like to keep things on display. Keeping the toys displayed also gives him a really good idea of what we have available to play with at that time. So each cube houses a different activity. For example, one cube houses his toy cars, the other one houses some peg dolls, one of them might house a pop-up toy. So each cube has its own activity, which makes cleanup really easy because he knows that everything has a home. It's really simple, it's not cluttered, and it simplifies the cleanup process. Now let's talk about the toys. This is the 6th and final way that we implement Montessori in our home. So when it comes to toys, first of all, we really stick with things that are natural materials. So wood toys, metal toys, fabrics, and silks. We stay away from things that entertain and focus more on toys that engage. So for example, if it's battery operated and has lights and noises, we typically don't have those in our home, aside from a few musical instruments, which are the exception. We also focus on toys that help to develop his fine and gross motor skills, art, music, books, and open-ended creative play. So anything that is a natural material that can be used for several different things with really no specific end in sight. I will be doing a playroom tour here in the near future, which I think is going to be really fun. So you will really get a more in-depth look of the kind of toys that we have and how we have things set up. The last thing that goes with number 6 that falls under the toy category is a toy rotation. We do toy rotation because it helps us to keep a clean, tidy, and organized environment by not having a lot of toys out at a time. It also helps to keep him interested because the toys are constantly changing, so he really doesn't have an opportunity to get bored, and it also helps to avoid overwhelm. When the child goes into their playroom or their play area or their bedroom to play and they see the toys that they have, they can make a decision of what they want to engage with instead of having a bunch of toys in a play bin or a toy box where they're digging through and they're making a mess. This method really helps us to keep things more simplified, and when I notice that he's getting bored with with certain books or toys, I will swap them out while he's napping or when he goes to bed at night, so that when he goes into the playroom, it's fresh and it has new toys that are going to engage his interest. Along with keeping the toys on display, we also keep our books facing outward. So instead of having all of the books lined up on a shelf where you can only see the side spine, we actually have them front facing, so he can see the front of the book, he can see the photo on the front of the book and make a determination of what book he wants to read. So again, you're not going to see a ton of books out at a time. You're going to see a limited amount of books and toys that get swapped out as needed. So that's a little bit about the Montessori method and how we implement this method in our home. I really do love this approach to education and learning. I think it really simplifies things for the parent and keeps things really intentional for the children. It helps to prepare them for the future, which is really important, and create independence and confidence at a young age. So I hope this video was helpful for you. If you have any questions, I would love to hear them down in the comments below. I do have more videos coming, so if this content is interesting to you, I would love if you join my community here on YouTube. I also do have a group on Facebook, which I'd love for you to be a part of. All of the links will be in the description below, and I will see you again in my next video. Bye!